Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and as you can see, we're working on one of those today. This fine specimen was brought in for a lack of power, and yeah, that was messed up. I wanted to show you guys what I found. I didn't want to show any disassembly. This was my first 650 750 turbo that I've had to replace. Didn't know what the setup of tools I was going to need and how it was going to come out. But I wanted to illustrate, this is probably the worst turbo that I have yet to see on a 6.7. This is not connected to the exhaust side, and they spin independently now of each other. The new one, it is updated, and I kind of wanted to go over a few things that I ran into, and I just wanted to bring to everybody else's attention when they're replacing a turbocharger on a newer 6.7 in a 650 750 application. So right now, you can see that this turbocharger has a pedestal. It's sitting on a block of metal. You can see the separation right here, and there's a gasket between there. Well, when you get this turbo, it does not come with a pedestal, and the pedestal either must be transferred over, or you need to get a new one depending on the build date the build date range of your vehicle, and if it's going to need the new updated pedestal for the new turbo. This one that was on the truck has an oil line on it. This one's upside down. Let me flip it up so you can see it right side up. Okay, flipped it upside down. Right side up. Right side up. And you can see what they deleted. So here's our oil. Here's our coolant. Here was our oil. See, here's that. Here's the plug. See the plugs right there, right there. So they've deleted the oil. So that means I cannot use this pedestal. I need to get the updated pedestal that no longer has this hole. But they did keep the coolant line, and I am going to be replacing just the O-ring on that line. So just to recap, for the turbo aspect here, we got a gasket kit for the inlet pipes, the gasket that went between the pedestal and the turbo, and then finally the gasket to the block. And what I just realized too is it pulled one of the dowels out. I'm going to need to take that and pound that dowel back in so that we can re-index our turbo and the gasket. See that hole where it was right there? So let me show you what the workshop manual said. Okay, I want to read this to you guys. You guys can read along with me. For 2016 F650 750 vehicles equipped with a 6.7 diesel engine and built on or after 2/1 of 2016, the turbocharger design has changed and the oil supply tube is no longer present or required. The revised turbocharger now uses an internal passage to supply engine oil to the turbocharger assembly. If replacing a turbocharger currently equipped with an oil supply tube, the replacement part may be the revised turbocharger with an internal lubrication passage. If the replacement turbocharger is not equipped with an external oil supply tube port, it is necessary to install the revised turbocharger pedestal, the turbocharger oil supply filter, and the new updated gasket to ensure proper operation, or turbocharger failure will result. And it references an SSM that I'm going to show you. Alright, here is here's that SSM 46027 stating pretty much what I just read to you in the workshop manual note in the very beginning, and it also includes some of the new part numbers that are revised. So if you do in fact have one of the turbochargers that has an oil supply tube and gets a new turbo and you no longer have that tube, you're going to need to obviously get those 3 parts. Alright, I just wanted to reiterate what the workshop manual says for removal and installation. After reading you that note, there's also another one indicating that the compressor vanes can be damaged by even the smallest particles. When removing the turbo or the engine air intake system components, please make sure that no debris gets inside there. Failure to do so will result in damage to the new turbo. We don't want to do that. So carrying on, we need to drain the coolant, no problem. We got 2 cooling systems. After taking the hood off, it's a little easier to see, but still is accessible. That's the secondary cooling system and the primary. I don't know if I can get a shot of this, but let's see what we can get. It's right underneath the radiator. It's no big deal, so I'll leave that to you guys to figure out. Alright, the next one is remove the lower intake manifold. Well, you got to take the upper off to remove the lower. So once you guys get the upper off, I was able to pull the oil dipstick tube out. Oh, which reminds me, I might want to get these 2 orange O-rings on the end of that. I just removed it so it was out of my way because it crosses over the intake and is a little more difficult to, finagle that out. Once you get that off, you can get this off. You got 1, 2, 3 10mm bolts, an 8mm worm clamp, and a big clip holding on this duct, and 1 small electrical connector right here. And to keep going, that was the CAC tube clamp I was telling you about. Remove the turbocharger heat shield, no problem. There's 3 8mm holding that on right there. Remove the inlet pipe, remove the exhaust down pipe. All these clamps are getting replaced. Here's that oil line. This step only needs to be performed if servicing or replacing the turbocharger. That's what I was telling you guys. Here's our coolant line. No big deal. Talking about looking at the sealing surfaces. Do not use anything abrasive. Turbo bolts are torque to heel. Those are getting replaced. Here's that gasket. There's that dowel that came out. We got to replace that, or not replace it, but put it back in. And we're getting this. We just ordered that, and then everything is pretty much reversing the removal process. You guys can pause it and thoroughly read what I'm going through. We're almost down here at the bottom. We're getting to the reassembly, torquing the bolts, new O-ring for the coolant line, lube it up, reinstall it, clamps, put the downpipe back on the cover, and finally that cat clamp. Remove and discard the engine oil filter, drain the engine oil. Oh, we're gonna have to do that. And yeah, so not really a big deal. If you were to ask me if I would rather do a pickup truck versus a 650 750, I'd almost rather do a 650 750 turbo. It was a little more easier to access. I like having the hood off and not having the cowl smashed right down on top of me so I can't get nothing. But I literally took that out with one hand. You ain't doing that in a pickup truck. So, alright you guys, tell me what you think about this Power Stroke video in the comments below. And if you guys have ever removed a turbo or replaced a turbo on your guys' 650, 750, let me know. Tell me what was wrong with it. So, as always, happy turbos to you.